It's time for the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, an inside look at your teams in your city.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. Tim Benz from 105.9 The X, along with Mark Madden and Mike Prisuta from WDVE. Mark on the X as well. Make sure you're listening to him 3 until 6 today. Mike and I will be on tomorrow morning. Obviously, all three of us will be talking about the Pittsburgh Pirate game. It's game number 4 over at PNC Park in the NLDS. That's what we're talking about to start things off in the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters today. Brought to you by 84 Lumber and Nemacolin Woodlands Resorts.
Mr. Hardy, represent.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy, for bringing us to the internet for today's edition of the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. Guys, Charlie Morton goes to the Hill today in this monsoon. We're hoping, at least by the time we're taping this, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. We're thinking we're going to get off close to on time at 3:07. And then if the Pirates should take care of business today, it's either Los Angeles or Atlanta. And based on what we saw yesterday, it looks like it's going to be the Dodgers. Should Pirates fans start thinking about the NLCS, or are the Buccos in trouble of going back to Game 5 in St. Louis, do you think, Mike?
If I was a Buccos fan, I wouldn't be thinking of anything other than just embracing this and continuing to be neck-deep in it. It's really a joke I've been telling since 2002. I always said, imagine what a playoff game would be like at PNC Park. You're going to have to. And yet they are having playoff games there, and they're like nothing I could have envisioned. It's over the top. It's unique. And if you're not enjoying every second of this, you're not doing it right.
I'm not enjoying every second of this, guys. It's a unique atmosphere, but that's what happens when you suck for 20 years. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this was a con game for 2 decades. Now they're trying to win, and eventually they'll get back to the con. You don't perpetuate the con, you recycle the con. They were lucky to win yesterday. They overcame a lot of mistakes. McCutchen's base running gaff, Marte's fielding gaff, Alvarez missing the tag at third after a bad call, Melanson blowing the save, but they won. They're a resilient bunch. They do have grit. Pedro Alvarez, a hit off a lefty. People talking about that being a career-building moment. No, it was luck. It was one of the 18 times in 100 at-bats he gets a hit off a lefty, but it couldn't have come at a better time. They are a team of destiny. They will win this series, although I'm sure you guys join me in rooting for a Game 5 because I got to get that Burnett-Cole debate.
Oh, yeah.
I just got to.
See,
God,
I think
God would not deny me that, Mike Prisuta. He
might.
wouldn't.
He's denied you a lot already.
It's a non-debate. You got to go with Cole, right?
They're going to go with Burnett.
But you should go with Cole, right?
They're going to go with Burnett.
What do you think?
JJ's turn.
Well, it's his turn, but
His
Cole
turn to get his head kicked in St. Louis again.
So, all right, well, let me throw this hypothetical out there. I'm not sure what time people are watching this as they're streaming it, but live right now as we're on the internet, if Charlie Morton gets knocked around and has to be pulled after 2 innings, do you go with Burnett or Cole, or do you just try to eat it up with middle relievers then?
That's what you got Jemar Gomez for, right?
Yeah, middle relievers.
I mean, that's,
absolutely.
All right, so you wouldn't bother trying to take the debate off the table for yourself if you're Clint Hurdle
You
and
pull
go with
out all
AJ.
the stops in Game 5 with using starting pitchers in relief. Not
Okay,
before
so
then.
if AJ gets knocked around, then you go to Cole if you're Clint Hurdle? I mean, because I would start Cole.
I start Garrett Cole, but he's going to start A.J. Burnett. By the way, it's exactly the same decision Lou Brown faced for the playoff game against the Yankees at the end of Major League. Did you go with the young flamethrower or the old veteran? He went with the old veteran because old school managers will talk themselves into going with the old veteran.
And
that's what's going to happen here.
It worked out great.
That was scripted, Mike.
They won.
This is reality.
And a baby Pedro big knock. As long as you keep getting the big knocks out of Pedro, it doesn't matter who's pitching, does it?
Depends how many big knocks.
Well, you mentioned the base running gaff from Andrew McCutchen. He said it was just one of those things that happened. I was caught in no man's land. It was no big deal, but he should have gone back to second base on that, right?
As I heard it described by Rick Sutcliffe, who was doing the color analysis on the ESPN radio broadcast. And by the way, you can hear all these Pirate games on 970 ESPN. Sutcliffe speculated that McCutchen actually got caught up in the crowd because everybody was going so berserk after the double, and he was gesturing to the fans, and he was doing the hand gestures to the dugout. And Sutcliffe said that McCutchen forgot to check where the defenders were, and if he had seen where the shortstop was positioned prior to the hit, there's no way he would have gone to third.
I think that might be true, and while we all wallow in the magnificence of the PNC Park crowd, I think it serves as a distraction to some degree to both teams.
Jason Grilly kind of agreed with that afterward. He talked about how they're not playing football, and you still have to remember to stay within yourself and make your pitches and be on your details.
He's right.
And do baseball things. But he did say they're feeding off it. I'm sure they'd rather have the problem of being too hyped up than having all those people against you. But, yeah, I think I agree that McCutcheon kind of got lost in a moment there. But – this team overcomes. You mentioned the resilience.
Absolutely.
It's how many teams give up an eighth-inning dinger and a base-running gaff that should take you out of an inning and still win the game.
Well, Carlos Beltran is now so good whenever he hits a homer, any pitcher can say, it's Carlos Beltran in the playoffs. I'm supposed to give up a homer. And that's, in essence, what they did. They just shrugged it off.
Well, earlier when I said they won yesterday because of luck, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to have good luck.
It's better than losing because of bad luck.
It's Emmanuel Kant, kids.
What do you guys make of the firing today in Philadelphia for Peter Laviolette as we get into hockey?
Oh, my God. I am so happy. I am so happy.
And to replace him with Berube?
Oh, no talent hack thug from their goon past. It is awesome.
Dave Schultz apparently unavailable.
I wish this show was sent to Philadelphia because that team
Well,
is
it is. I
falling
mean, it's
apart.
on the internet. They have the internet in Philadelphia. I think
They
have the
don't know how to use the internet in Philadelphia, Tim. They're falling apart. The Flyers are falling apart. It's the greatest thing in sports today.
I saw a great tweet out there from somebody at CSN who pointed out the senior-most coach right now of the Big Four sports is Chip Kelly in Philadelphia.
I'm just a little concerned about Peter Laviolette's psyche. I think he's going to be all right because he has, after all, been fired before. He is an assistant coach on the U.S. Olympic team, the about-to-win the gold medal U.S. Olympic team. If this helps him spend more time and devote more preparation to Team USA, great. If it rattles him at all, then I got a problem with what the Flyers did.
I hope he's homeless and hopelessly addicted to opiates within a month. If you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas.
Can't that wait till March?
No.
After we win the gold medal?
No.
Wow. The thing of it is, the Flyers, I will give them credit for veiling absolutely nothing. They are hiding nothing. This is who we are. We are Craig Berube as our head coach.
They're the Steelers. They're the Steelers on skates. We're going to do things our way, even if we suck.
Well, on the topic of the Steelers, we'll get to them in a moment, but I do just a quick thought on the Penguins and the way they've played so far in their first two games. Not a great competition that they've seen so far.
I was going to say, they've pounded two crap teams. Way to go. I mean, they're doing some things very well.
And they got the Hurricanes coming up, too, to continue the trend.
Well, after the first game, both Sidney Crosby and Brooks Orpik used the word patient to describe how the Penguins played. We've seen them lose that Devils game a lot, where they seem to have the puck more. They seem to be in control. Then they make a couple of stupid mistakes. It ends up in their net, and they skate off frustrated that the result wasn't different. Their positional play was outstanding. Their diligence and dedication to defense. Thought they had good legs. The offensive stuff will come. It's early in the season. They're talented enough. They'll start making the tic-tac-toe plays eventually. But when they're working at playing hard and playing smart, two things they don't always do, that makes them a pretty tough team to beat even when the offense isn't there.
And their defensive core is excellent. When Tanger comes back, you got two great partnerships, Orpik and Martin, Letang and Scuderi. I love Mata and Bortuzzo as the bottom pair. I would ship me a Niskanen out the first chance I got. No knock on Niski, but you relieve some cap problems there.
Lots of scouts,
they just
right?
don't need him. They just don't need Matt Niskanen.
Yeah. Lots of scouts
probably need
lately.
another goalie, right?
You know what? I hate to bury Jeff Zatkoff till he plays an NHL game, but I have the feeling I'll be able to do so not long after that. I think he's a 4A goalie. I think he's a great AHL goalie.
I've heard nobody tell me that, well, wait till you see this Zatkoff.
Not even him.
When he gets up here. I think he's a guy that, if the world had been perfect, according to Penguins' perspective, Eric Hartzell would have eventually taken over the AAA job from Zatkoff this year and then been up here next year. But now they're kind of caught a little bit in between.
Finally, guys, just to reference the Steelers, they didn't play this past weekend, but during the course of the week, starting on Thursday, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens all won. So the Steelers basically even lost the bye. That's how bad it's gotten.
I can't sit here and say I think it's great because this is a Pittsburgh internet show. But
sponsored by 84 Lumber and
Right.
Nemacolin Woodlands, we should point out.
Exactly right. I mean, Ryan Clark not watching film during the bye week, working for ESPN, where he could show off his windburn to a national television audience, windburn earned by guys running right past him for 4 games. It's just a terrible, terrible team, and I see no sign of it getting better, none whatsoever. I don't think they've even identified the problems. I don't even think they think there is a problem. Aside from the 0-4 record.
I think they've identified the problems. Solving it's another matter entirely. They're taking a grope at left tackle with Levi Brown or Kelvin Beachum because Mike Adams crapped out. You look, so much going into this season was predicated on that offensive line being one of the driving forces of the club, and you lose Mike Pouncey, or Marquise Pouncey, 8 snaps into the season, and now Adams. Too early to say he's a bust, get rid of him forever, but he has to sit down for a while because he was that bad against Minnesota. And your line's a mess, your offense is a mess, and now the defense is starting to spring leaks. It's not looking good.
That's Mike Prisuta from WDVE. Check him out in the mornings as well as me during the X Morning Show. We're done. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Well, I heard that Levi Brown was the baddest man in the whole damn town. Oh, no, wait, that's Leroy Brown.
One of them.
As long as it isn't Levi Jones and he starts fighting with all the Steelers again. We've been through that once already.
Oh, Tim, I have Steeler news for the hearing impaired.
Mark's on at 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, Mike and I will. This has been the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, the Pittsburgh Sports Hub. Check out the Pirate game today on 970 ESPN. Thanks to 84 Lumber and Nemacolin Woodlands.